Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we're going to be checking out a track from an act named Gino Joubert titled Love Triangle. And if we switch over to here, we have the track on the screen on YouTube. Rock and Funk 2022. Love Triangle beautifully blends rock and roll with elements of funk, a catchy drum line that makes for a fun experience. And we're going to listen through this track from start to finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Oh, fantastic with the brass at the start as well as the guitar. And what is that there? That it's like a keyboard or an organ or something like that. It's kind of funky, isn't it? Definitely incorporates those rock and funk elements.
I've been searching, the lost and found. A love triangle has hit the ground. Travel places, both high and low. Time's a wasting, it's time to go.
Love Triangle hitting the ground, time's wasting, it's time to go. I'm going to need a bit more context to this, but there's just so much charisma and vitality within this track so far that I'm loving it regardless.
But you love her, and she loves him. An endless battle. Does it ever end? Love triangle.
Oh, I get it. So there's some miscommunication going on here. Nice clarity with the vocal performance. I like not having to read through a lyric sheet at the end of a song to understand what the story is about, especially if it's in English. So that's a great start to proceedings. Got nothing but love for that. What else do I like about this? I think that the way that we're stacking these sort of bridge and verse sections is fantastic. They're clearly distinct. Bop, bop, bop. You know, the bit of tension there where you drop everything, kind of slowly build it up for the crescendo. It's been done before in a lot of different songs, but it's still nonetheless effective. Or was that the chorus? We just had the bridge verse go into the chorus.
I've been wondering what's on your mind. I think of you on the telephone. Your voice so low that
The mixing is phenomenal. Like, everything is nicely glued together and centered within the mix, but at the same time it doesn't seem like it's too loud. And that's testament to the studio production side, the skill there, so well done.
it makes me wonder who is standing there. But you love her, and she loves him. An endless battle. Does it ever end? Love triangle.
Does it ever end or does it ever win? Love Triangle. Okay, so that's the hook line. We're just finishing with a drum fill there. I'm loving the flexibility, by the way, on the percussion. It's great sass experimenting with different grooves and vibes. Oh, that was fantastic. Great exploration of the toms there within that section. It was nice. Really great palate cleanser for what's to come, you know. And we're only at 141 through. It feels like we've had a lot of songs so far.
The love triangle's a dangerous game. When it comes to women, they're all the same.
Oh, okay.
Play a heartstring like a mandolin. A lesson learned when the story ends.
Great vocals here, nice bit of vocal fry there. We're repeating these vocal melodies, these sing bits, where we've got a sense of self-awareness here that we have to kind of have a little bit of predictability to be able to keep people entertained, but at the same time we're matching the emotion and intensity to both what's happening with the accompaniment as well as the story that's being told. So that's great.
But you love her, and she loves him.
Fantastic vibrato there.
Does it ever end? Love triangle.
I'm just going to be blunt here. I need something different at this point. You know, it's a 4-minute song, and I appreciate the musicality, the vocal performance, the chemistry between the instrumentalists, and the fact that there's not really a note out of place, as well as the production, but I need to be changed thematically. I need to be changed instrumentally.
Triangle, love triangle, love triangle.
Okay, this is alright.
Love triangle.
We're really hammering on that hook line. Great octave work on the bass.
Love triangle. Love triangle. I've been sitting here on a cold steel rail.
Oh, great. Backing vocals got a bit of call and response there. Well done.
Get down, but I don't know why. It's a shame that you can't be mine. So I drive my car in the wall.
Drove my car in the wall. Well, what? What? So what happened there? Did we just give up and do something to hurt ourselves or something like that? What happened? Great sax solo here. This is a texture we haven't had yet. I love it for that. Really peppy, really articulate, competent performance there on that additional lead element. Oh, and the piano coming in here is a great touch. Wow. Phenomenal outro, really. It's quite extravagant. Yeah, oh, so I guess that he's just gone out to sail because they're together and he's just been left out, right? Is that the take of it? That's interesting. That's really intriguing. Because this is my conclusion for the review of this track, Love Triangle by Gino Joubert. It's a great effort in general. I think this is going to be a positive review, but we'll split it into bits. I mean, the story, I think, again, is just about three people involved. Two of them, one of them loves the other, and then the third person is looking at it all, and they love her. And I think what happens is, no matter what occurs, it just doesn't work out. And so eventually the person just gives up and just goes out to sea, never to return, whilst the two love each other. And I think that is, they mentioned this game being dangerous, and that's absolutely correct. You cannot assume that you can just poke your nose in there and get what you want. It doesn't matter if you love someone. If they're in someone else, you can't really do much to change that unless you're kind of a crappy person, So I like that this song talks about that situation, doesn't necessarily recommend it, and shows a reasonably accurate sort of representation of what occurs typically in these situations. I think a lot of people will be able to relate to a story like this. They've loved someone who's in love with someone else. It's a great thing to write a piece of music about, and I think that the way it's told, the sense of romanticism combined with the down to earth sensibilities of it will appeal, again, to a large audience. The singing was fantastic. It's got great pipes. Had them a love for the main lines there. It was energy wise, we were upbeat for most of it. There was passion and again that charisma I mentioned earlier. There, we hit the notes we needed to. There was a bit of variation there, a little bit of ornamentation there in some of those legato runs or the vibratos and such like that, and we did try and have a sense of unison with the instruments and accompaniment as well. I've got nothing but love for that. Tonally, it was very appropriate. The main sort of motif, there was a few different riffs. Like there was the verse riff and then there was the chorus riff, and then we had the interludes as well and the saxophone solo. I think it was just the outro backing with a different lead voice, and each of these different sections, they had kind of a jazzy, kind of funky, rocky kind of thing with 2 or 3 notes to the bass line and occasional sort of semitonal. There was no modulation or anything like that, and I don't even know if we worked with any sort of semitonal chromatic adjustments, but even if it did play safely within the main sort of key signatures and scale shapes, it's still totally fine. It's not to the detriment of it. The instrumental performances themselves, the guitar playing was incredibly competent, those chords there and the little lead lines as well we had there, the bass walking around the place and exploring the fretboard when needed to, but predominantly a supportive part alongside the drummer, who we had some fantastic drum fills, but basically we articulated to suit the rest of the instruments to keep that flow going. And the low end with the kicks and accents there, like a quarter note groove, 1, 2, 3, 4, some ghost notes on the 8s and 16ths. I've gotten in trouble for saying that I haven't heard the piano earlier in songs before. And no, really, I have. And I heard the piano more clearly at the end. There might have been some during parts of the midway through performance, but it was obviously a bit more sort of easy to hear at that later stage. The organ, and then the choir organ near the end was charming. The outro section itself was that freeform 4 time of it slowing down to rubato was just so clever, and I love the big band feel of that. It sort of marks the romanticism and emotional intensity of the situation, and it makes it more like a drama or a play rather than just a song. Not that a song wouldn't have been enough, but you know, these days, like I've been watching music videos recently, and I think that if you can find some way to elevate it beyond something that you can passively listen to, you're going to find success in the industry. Finally, I think just, you know, there was not a note out of place with instrument performance and accompaniment. The production, the recording, mixing, and mastering was stellar. The EQing on the various instruments was great. The stereo painting instruments was fantastic. It was nice and wide sounding, but sounded nicely glued together as well. The stacking and positions was fantastic. There was a minimalist approach to the reverb effects change in the vocals, which allowed the raw skill of the singer to come through, which I appreciate. You know, if we'd oversaturated it, it would have been a detriment or detrimental to the experience. I believe, especially in genres like this, where like again, like even though people do use auto-tune, you know, I'm not saying Gino did, but I know people in rock music do use auto-tune sometimes, and if you just get the wrong amount of it, it sounds really cheesy and lame. We obviously didn't have these issues here. You know, finally, you know, like limited compression was absolutely sensational. I will say this, I'm wondering whether there's like been like an issue with the audio compression via YouTube. Some of those hi-hat hits sounded like they were phasing a little bit. I don't think that's something that happened with the original recording. It would be good maybe just have a listen through this at like a higher, like is this on HD? Because sometimes it can happen on lower HD. Yeah, it's 1080p. I mean, I have gigabit fiber in this house. It should be 1080p, but at least. But yeah, it's probably worth having a look into why I could just hear it. You know, like when you convert a track one too many times and you upload it and it has a kind of a weird sort of tone to the hi-hats. I could hear that occasionally in here. Everything sounded tremendously stellar, and I don't think that's an issue with the original studio production process. It can just be YouTube messing with the audio a little bit, but it might. That's basically it. I'm just saying this for the sake of transparency, but thank you very much for watching my review of Gino Joubert's Love Triangle. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show Gino some love via his various social medias and his YouTube page. Stay cool and stay safe, and please also remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.